Hello everyone, welcome back to the video lecture of Python programming. So, we are discussing the function concept. We have already discussed what is function, what is the scope of local variable and global variable, and what are the function argument types. If you have installed the Python ideally, then you just implement those function type based on the arguments. Today we are going to discuss two different concepts, that is recursion and the lambda function or anonymous function. So, first we have to discuss what is the recursion concept. If you have already know what is C programming language, there we have already seen what is the recursion. So, what do you mean by recursion? When a function calls itself from the calling function, that is known as recursion. That means we are calling the function, we have some function declaration, we have some function body and we are calling that function. So, when we call that function, what actually happens? The function body will get executed and we are calling the function from different function. But when the function body will be executed once it is called by itself. So, when the function call itself, it is known as recursion. So, let us have some example and discuss what is the recursion. Suppose I am just defining a grid function. Okay. So, we know that we have to define the function by using the def keyword. So, here I am just defining a grid function. So, we have to follow the indentation and inside that I am writing print hello. Now, we have to call that grid function. So, here from the main function I am just calling the grid function. So, when my function will get executed, my function will get executed starting from here. I am just calling the grid function, then the execution will jump to the grid function body. So, what actually inside the grid function? The function, the print statement, that is print hello. So, the output screen will get printed with this statement, that is hello. So, this is what actually the structure of a normal function. So, what is recursion? How we can implement the recursion here? I am calling the grid function from here. What is recursion? By the definition we know that when the function call itself, that is known as the recursion. So, this is the function. The function call should be here. I am calling the grid function from the function body. So, when my program will get executed, I will go to here, the execution will start from here, then I will jump to here. Now, hello will get printed. After hello, what is there? There is another call, function call to which function? To the grid function. So, when this line will get executed, the execution will jump to here. Again hello will be printed. Again grid function will be called. Again the execution will jump to here. Again hello will be printed. So, like this infinite, actually it is an infinite loop. The hello will be grid printed infinite times, but in case of Python there is a limit. Only thousands times the hello will get printed. Why? Why there is a limit? Because we are not supposed to use the recursion without having a exit criteria. As in case of for loop, in case of while loop, whatever, in a looping structure also we are using the condition only for exiting from that loop. We have some exit condition, otherwise the loop will be continue infinite times. So, whenever if we are using any loop, you are using any recursion, whatever it may be, you should stop after executing finite number of statement. After executing the loop, the body of the function, the body of the loop at finite number of times. So, that is what we are need of the exit criteria. So, in the recursion also we have to put a exit criteria, where to stop. So, in case of recursion, the recursion can be called as when the function call itself. When the function call itself, we can call it as recursion. And the second thing is there should be a base case. That means for what is the exit criteria, where to stop the function, where to exit from that function, that is what the base case. And another is your recursive case. This is the termination, you can call this as termination. This is the criteria where my function will get terminated, and this is the recursive case. That means why I am using the recursion function, where is the need of that. So that is what the recursive case. The best example of recursion is the calculation of factorial. So let us discuss how to calculate the factorial of a given number. So the logic behind the factorial, suppose I am taking the number as 5 and we need to calculate the factorial of 5. So we can simplify this by writing 5 into 4 factorial. This is also same. Next, we can also execute this by using 5 into 4 into 3 factorial. Again, we can write it is as 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 factorial. Again, we can write it 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 factorial. Now, we know that what is the factorial of 1 or 0? The factorial of 1 is 1 and the factorial of 0 is also 1. So, from here we start returning the value. The 1 factorial is what? 1 factorial is 1. So, these will return to here. Now, this 2 factorial value will return to here. This will return to here, and what we will get at the last, that is the factorial of 5. So, let us write the function for calculating the factorial by using the recursion. So, we have to define the function by using the def keyword. We should remember this always. Then what is my function name? My function name is suppose factorial. And what argument, how many argument I am going to accept? I am going to take only one argument, because I am just going to calculate the factorial of a given one number. So, here we know that we have to take only one argument. Suppose that is n. So, what is now I am going to do? I know that we have to put a base case. So, base case means what? That is the exit criteria. So, what is the exit criteria for a factorial? We know that this is the universal fact. The factorial of 1 is 1 and the factorial of 0 is 1. So, whenever the number is 1 or the number is 0, the factorial will be returned as 1. So, here we have to put a if condition. So, if n equals to 0 or n equals to 1. If n equals to 0 or n equals to 1, again we have to follow the indentation. This will define which block is for the if and which block is for the factorial. So, we have to start here, because this indentation is followed by the factorial function. So, we are just defining the indentation for if block. So, here we can say we have to return 1, because we know whatever the number, if the number is 0 or the number is 1, then we have to return a 1 here. Else, otherwise, if the number is not 0, the number is not 1, then what we are going to do? We are putting a recursion statement. So, here I can write return n into factorial of n minus 1. So, what I am doing? If n is 5, 5 into factorial of 4. If n is 4, then 4 into factorial of 3. If n is 3, 3 into factorial of 2. Then if n is 2, 2 into factorial of what? Factorial of 2 minus 1, that is 1. And once the number n is 1, then it will return 1. Okay. So, this is the body of the function factorial. Now, we have to call that function. So, for that I am just taking a variable, suppose a, and we have to follow the type def and the input function input enter a number. So your output screen will get printed with this, like enter a number, and whatever you put, that will be taken as a string, because input function by default takes the string input. Then we are using the typecast operator here. That means the string will get converted into integer, and that will assigned with the variable that is named as a. Now we have to call this factorial function by passing the actual argument as a, and here n is the formal argument. So here I can write, suppose I can assign any fact equals to, I am just expecting the value that is the factorial of a, and I will put that value into a variable that is fact. So fact equals to factorial of a. Now I can print here, print factorial equals to fact. So this is what actually a recursion function that we are using to calculate the factorial of a given value. So let's execute this. So from here we are going to start. So inside the input function, we have asked the user to enter a number. So the output screen will get printed with enter a number. Okay. Suppose here I have entered 5. So what is the value of a now? Here I am just, whatever the input I am taking from the keyboard, I have just assigned this value to a. So what is the value of a now? So a is 5 now. Okay. So now I am calling the factorial function by putting the actual argument a here. So 5 will get passed to the factorial function, and the execution will jump to here. Now n is what? N is 5, because I am passing the actual argument a, and what is the value of a? A is 5. So n will get the value of a, that is 5. So now this condition is false, because n is what? N is 5. So 5 is not equals to 0 and 5 is not equals to 1. So we will go to here. So return, when we are calling the function that is fact of 5, from here we are just returning the expression that is 5 into, sorry, this is factorial of 5, not fact. So 5 into factorial of 4, because n minus 1. So once this line will get executed, this is what? This is actually a function call. So when this line will be get executed by the interpreter, then the function call jump to here. So now what is the value of n? The n value will be 4. So n, 4 is not 4 equals to 0? No. 4 equals to 1? No. So we will go to here. What we are returning? We are returning 4 into factorial of 3. Again, from the factorial of 3, what we will return? We will return 3 into factorial of 2. And from the factorial of 2, what we will return? The return expression is same, that is 2 into factorial of 1. So from here we will go for 2 into factorial of 1. Now what is the value of n? We are calling the factorial function by passing the actual argument 1. So n will get initialized with 1. So while n equals to 1, so this condition n equals to 0, this is false, but here we are using the OR operator, n equals to 1, true. So what will get written? Written 1. So from these things we are just started returning. So factorial of 1. So this will return as what? 1. So 2 into 1, what is the value now? 2. So 2 will get returned to here, factorial of 2. So 3 into 2 is what? 6. So 6 will get returned to here, 4 into 6. 4 into 6 is what? 24. So 24 will get returned to factorial of 4. So 24 into 5, So the value is what? 120. So this will return to what? Factorial of 5. So what is the value of factorial 5? 120. So that after that the execution will come to here. So this expression, this function call gives me 120. Now 120 will get initialized with fact. So the value of fact is what? 120. So when we will go for printing factorial equals to fact, so this will return as factorial equals to 120. So this is my output. So this is how we can implement the recursion function when we know the exit criteria. We should know what is the base case. Without knowing what is the base case or what is the terminating case, we cannot use the recursion function. If we will go for that without having a base case, then that will put into an infinite statement. An infinite time the statement will get executed. So this is what the recursion concept. Let's jump into the concept that is lambda function. Take an example. Suppose I am writing here define R A comma B, return A plus B, R 5 comma 4. So what will be the result? It will return A plus B, that is 5 plus 4 will be 9. Suppose I am writing here C equals to add 5 4 and I will go for printing the C value. Okay, let it be whatever it may be, just concerned about this function definition. Here I am taking a function that is R and the functions, the work of that function is take two variable as formal argument and R two numbers and return the value. So whenever we are talking about a function, what is actually work of that function? When we have a big task and we have to complete that big task. So there we need to divide those tasks into different parts and those different parts are called as a function. So whenever a function word comes to our mind, that means there should be a particular task. That means there should be 10 to 15 line of codes. But what actually, if we are using a function and we don't want to reuse that function, we are using that function only for once. And what if we don't want to give a name to a function? We don't want to give some name to a function and we don't want to use that function further. For those concepts, when we don't have to put a name for a function, when we don't need of that function further, there is the concept of lambda function. That means we don't have to give a name to that function. We don't have to write the function into 3 to 4 lines. For a single line function, we have the lambda function. And as we are not going to give a name to that function, that's why sometimes it's called as anonymous function, because the function does not have any name. So let's see what is the properties of lambda function. So when we are talking about the lambda function, actually a simple function can be defined by using the def keyword. But when we are talking about the lambda function, this function can't be defined by using the def keyword. This is the first properties. A lambda function can't be defined by using the def keyword. So how can we know that this is the function? If there is a no def keyword, then how should we know this is a function? This will take some argument and this will return some value. So this can be done by using the lambda keyword. There is a keyword in Python that is known as lambda, and this is used for defining a lambda or anonymous function. Next, it can take any number of argument. As like your normal function, it can also take any number of argument. And another differentiation is by executing the return value. So, when the normal function is returning some value or multiple values, but the lambda function will return an expression. Okay. And next differentiation is it cannot access the global variables. It cannot access the global variables. And the most important thing is it does not have any name. It does not have any name. We are using this function without having name. So, you have to remember why it is known as anonymous function. So, it does not have any name. So, these are the properties, and another, the most important property is it is one line function. We should remember it can take any arguments, it does not have any name, it has the return value as the expression, and it is a one line function. You just define this function in a single line. We do not have to follow the indentation, we do not have the block-up statement, we do not have the function body. In a single line, we can define the function, and in the single line, we can call that function. There is only two lines for calling a function, for defining a function. So, let us take the example of some lambda functions. So, the syntax for lambda function is we have to use the lambda keyword, then the argument list, that means what argument is taking that function, and colon expression, what is the work of that function, what to do with this argument list, that should be defined by using this expression. So, this is the syntax of using a lambda function. So, you can see this is a one line function actually. So, let us take some example. Suppose I am writing here x equals to lambda argument list, suppose a colon a into 10. Now, we have to call this function. This is what? This is the variable which will take the expression what the lambda function will return. We have already discussed the lambda function will return an expression. The lambda function is not going to return the value. So, when the lambda function is returning some expression, so that expression should be stored into a variable. That expression should be assigned to a variable. So, that is what actually x, and this x can represented by the lambda function. You can use this x as the lambda function. So, next we have to call this. For that, suppose take the input for a. So, here I am writing a equals to int input, enter a number. Next, print what the x, and in the argument I am passing the value of a. So, here this x, as this x is holding the expression of the lambda function, we can use this x as a lambda function. So, x of a, that means if I will put here as 5, so this will 5 will be get passed to the lambda function. Now, here what is the argument? Argument is 5, and what is the return? What is the return expression? That is 5 into 10. So, this will be executed as like x equals to 5 into 10. So, what is the value of x now? The x is 50. So, this will be printed as 50. So, this is what actually the lambda function. So, let us take two variables and add them by using the lambda function. So, let us get started. Sum equals to lambda, and here I am taking two arguments x, y, and what is the expression? What actually we want to do? We want to add two numbers. So, x plus y, the expression is x plus y. So, this is what the one line function, anonymous function, we do not have to give any name, and the expression will get stored into the variable sum. Okay. So, let's have to take the input for x and y and we will call the lambda function. So, x equals to int input, enter first value, y equals to like that int input, enter second value, and now we have to print the result by using the lambda function. So, print what is the lambda function name? You can use this sum as the function name. So, here we can write sum equals to sum of x, y. Okay. So, when our execution will start from here, then the output screen will get printed like enter first value, suppose I am entering 10, then we will go for entering the value for y. So, enter second value, that is what, suppose I am putting 20 here. Next here sum equals to sum of x, y. This is what can be represented as a lambda function. So, x and y, 10 and 20 are the actual argument, they will pass to here. So, this x and this y will get initialized with 10 and 20, x plus y 10 plus 20 will get assigned with sum. So, what is the value of sum now? 30. So, here this expression will return 30. So, the output screen will get printed sum equals to 30. So, this is what the lambda function. We have to remember, whenever a function do not need any name or we do not want to use that function further, there is a concept of anonymous function or the lambda function. There we will jump to the lambda function and we should properly utilize the lambda function. So, this is what actually the concept of function, the recursion, the lambda function, the global variable, the local variable, the type of argument, and we have done with the function. Keep practice all those things, keep watching our videos, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.